So how do we level up on this situation that we're all in called being a family caregiver? How can we demand of ourselves to be excellent in this role? How do we not just go through the motions or just stick with the things that we're comfortable with? How do we prevent ourselves from just becoming another statistic of another overwhelmed and burnt out family caregiver? How can we keep doing this for years, for the long haul, and still be excellent at it? Well, let's talk about it in this video. Hi there, I'm Sofia. Welcome to another episode. I make weekly videos to help family caregivers navigate the resources, the options, and all the ups and downs that go with being a family caregiver. I want the very best outcomes for you, so go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. Being excellent in the long road of family caregiving demands a little bit of an edge. It demands that you push yourself beyond your comfort zone or what you might feel is your natural tendency. I might even say it means getting out of your own way. It means really looking at your situation honestly and acknowledging what you're feeling about it. It means to acknowledge where you are as a family caregiver and how it's affecting you and your mental health and your life. Maybe you're stressed and overwhelmed, angry, resentful, depressed, confused, scared, or maybe you're all these things on any given day of the week. That is totally normal for so many family caregivers, but it doesn't have to be that way. I'm here to push you to the next level, and you might not even realize that there's another level. And that one small step right there is so significant. Realizing that there is another level, that there could be another way, that things could be better. But you need to do a little self-analysis and say to yourself, I want that. I want it to be better. And this is exactly what is needed if you want great outcomes for your parent and for yourself in the long run. Today, I'm going to challenge you to set yourself up for excellent caregiving. Not exhaustion, not overwhelm, not burnout. You're going to be able to feel pride in yourself and feel good about how you're handling this situation with your parent. And you have to hear this. I'm not talking about being a perfect family caregiver. That's not the same thing as being an excellent family caregiver. I think that if you're expecting perfection from yourself, then you might be setting yourself up for disappointment and stress and worry in the long run because you're compromising yourself. You're going to compromise your health, your mental well-being, and possibly your relationship with your parent. I'd rather that you said, I'm an excellent caregiver rather than I'm a perfect caregiver. Because a perfectionist caregiver compromises themselves at the expense of doing everything for their parent, and this is usually based on fear and leads to burnout. Excellence in caregiving over the long haul is settling into a routine, a way of care that's good for you and your parent. This information is going to help you reimagine who you are as a family caregiver and what you're capable of. If you don't have the caregiving situation that you want right now and you don't like it right now, your mindset and your own behavior just might be what's preventing you from delivering the best care for your parent and having the best outcomes for both of you. And when I'm talking about care, I don't necessarily mean hands-on caregiving. Because yes, you can be really good at making sure your parent is fed and clothed and bathed and has all their needs met. But what I'm talking about today is the overarching feeling that you have about being a caregiver and the overarching feeling your parent has about being a care recipient. And how much stress there is in this caregiving situation and your environment as a whole. I think that some of you are so deep in the trenches of caregiving. I know it's really hard. But it will benefit you so much to pop your head up above the trenches and look around a little and see that there is another way, that there could be a better way, to have a vision for better outcomes. One important value of being an excellent family caregiver is that you are in it to play the long game. And you might be saying, yeah, Sophia, I've been doing this for years. But the long game does not mean just longevity. If you're stressed out and burnt out, you're not playing the long game. If your health is bad, or your family relationships suck, or you're resentful and depressed or angry all the time, then you're not playing the long caregiver game. If you've overcommitted yourself and you don't have good boundaries, then you're not playing the long game. Playing the long game doesn't mean just taking whatever comes at you every day. It means architecting the future for both you and your parent. You might have been taking care of your parent already for years, but guess what? There could be more years ahead, a lot more, 3 or 5 or 10 more years ahead. And it really doesn't matter if your parent is living in their own home, or you live together, or they're in assisted living, or even a nursing home. It doesn't matter. The stress and responsibilities of family caregiving are still there with you. So this information is important no matter what kind of caregiving situation you're in. Playing the long game of family caregiving means being intentional about planning, anticipating the things that go along with aging and caregiving, like medical issues or needing more care and how you're going to pay for them, learning how to respond if your parent has Alzheimer's or dementia, and getting the support and the resources in place before you need them will help you and your parent be able to ride the waves of whatever the future has to bring in the next few years for both of you. It means right now saying, if my parent needs help in the future, this is what we're going to do. This is the plan. And this is how it's going to be paid for. It means right now saying, if I get sick sometime in the future, or I break my leg and I can't take care of Dad, then this is my backup plan. Write it down. Call your family or resources who would step up in that event. Make sure they're available and that they're on board. And make sure they know now what they're going to need to know later. And if you don't have family or resources who can step up and help, then start now. Start researching the caregiver agencies in your area, or even the facilities. Call them now. Find out what they're all about. And how they might be able to help. So in the back of your mind, you always know you have 1 or 2 resources available in case there is a crisis. It's going to really alleviate a lot of your ongoing stress and worry about what if the future happens. And if you don't have a community of supports and resources available to cheer you on and give you support and help you out when you need, then you're not playing the long game. I think that so many family members are really good caregivers. They're loving, they're caring, but they don't realize that this situation has the potential to be really excellent for both the parent and for them, because they're not thinking about what it's going to take for them to continue on in this role for the next 1 or 3 or 5 or more years down the road. What do they need to do now to plan for that? They get caught up in the day-to-day survival mode of caregiving that happens. Survival mode is not the same thing as having the mindset of being an excellent caregiver, is it? But burnout, it doesn't happen overnight. It happens little bit by bit over time. By saying yes when you should have said no. By saying no when you should have said yes. By giving away your freedom and your identity sometimes. By overcommitting and not setting boundaries. Over time, this will lead to burnout. It's also really important that you learn to reset. A lot of family caregivers can go on in burnout mode for a long time, for months or even years, but it's at a huge cost to their mental well-being and health. These caregivers maybe haven't yet learned to reset themselves every day, maybe multiple times a day. You have to recharge throughout the day. You have to be able to recharge and reset throughout the day. And I don't mean taking a respite vacation, every year or every 2 years. I'm talking about several times every single day that you're with your parents to take a moment to reset, to recharge, to take a deep breath and think, okay, what just happened? How did I do? How did that situation come out? Could I have done it better? And be okay with that. Just to take a minute and think about your caregiving, because it's so important. And there's no way you can reset yourself unless you take the time to focus, to just need a few minutes to focus on you, your thoughts, how you're doing, how you're coping, how you're reacting, and how did your parents react? Was that helpful? You just need some time to gather yourself. And you know what? It could just be 10 seconds, 15 seconds is all it takes sometimes to just, how'd I do? That's all it takes. But people don't do that. It means being intentional with your self-care and with how you interact with your parent. You just very well might be a great caregiver, but you're not invincible. And if you don't take time out to reset yourself and reset yourself often, it will lead to exhaustion and overwhelm, and I don't want that for you. This is how a lot of family caregivers deal with day-to-day caregiving life. Parent crisis, you crash and burn. Parent crisis, crash and burn. Parent crisis, crash and burn. Crisis, burn. Does that sound like you? Does this look like you? My goal for you would be to lessen the severity of the crisis by how you deal with it, by planning, by expecting these things to come. Think of them ahead of time. Plan for what you're going to do. When the time comes, the crisis is not going to be overwhelming. And to also, down here, to help you not crash and burn so low, but to make sure you have the supports in place, the resources in place, the agencies in place, whatever it takes for you to have the support you need when times are low. So instead of your day-to-day experience looking like this, if you were able to cut off the tops and the bottoms of the crisis and the crash and burn, your day looks more like this. And if you can do this, then you can say you're an excellent caregiver and ready for the long haul. If you have other ways that you deal with and plan for the long haul of family caregiving, go ahead and leave a comment below. And if you know other family caregivers who could benefit from this information, go ahead and feel free to share this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.